what a day. What a day we have here today. The sun is shining. It's rising up a bit higher than usual as we're drifting into spring. It'll be here before you know it. Welcome, everyone. Come on in. It's a crunchy day today. Lots of crunchy ice. Nice to see you all. Welcome to Consciousness Explained. My name is William, and I am here to explain to you the game of life and how to play it. So, to explain to you the game of life and how to play it. So, all you need to do is rest, relax, receive. Let your mind handle all the translation. And if you have any questions beyond what I'm saying, your mind handle all the translation. And if you have any questions beyond what I'm saying, your mind handle all the translation. And if you have any questions beyond what I'm saying, and if you have any questions beyond what I'm saying, and if you have any questions beyond what I'm saying, albeit the ice is melting. Some days it is melting. Some days it's loud. Know that you're imagining being here will allow you to reap the benefits just as much as me being here walking. Welcome, everyone. It says, some comments in the live are filtered to protect the community's experience. Well, I want you to feel safe here. Which is the same as saying, I want you to feel safe with your phone. Feel safe with your phone. Your beautiful cell phone. Feel safe with your cell. In your cell. Until you no longer want to be subject to your cell. We're almost done with the crunching, folks. I'll be making a pit stop in a moment. Yes. TikTok is all about filtering your experience so that you are safe. That is a convenient way for a corporate entity to say we are censoring you and censoring others. It's to keep you safe. Safe from words which are nothing more than sounds echoing through your mind. TikTok wants you to believe that you have no power in deciding to just be with the words as they're presented before you, but you have to be sheltered from them because you're so fragile, right? Aren't you so fragile that you have to be sheltered by an AI algorithm from seeing a string of symbols and interpreting them as dangerous and harmful to you? This is how some of us play the game of life, on edge, constantly worrying, seeking excuses and options to say we are victims of external circumstances, and TikTok will help you through that by encouraging you to be more and more of a victim every time you scroll. I, on the other hand, will help you come into your power through humility, grace, and an observation of your aliveness that is more profound than your identity would ever state. For if your identity were to tell you your truth in being, that you're an amalgamation of 50 trillion cells, and within each and every one of those cells, there are 100 trillion atoms powering your consciousness. In adherence to your desires, that you become what you think about. If your identity were to tell you such a thing, well, then you would soon enough abandon it, wouldn't you? For the power that it gives. Welcome to your awakening. If you happen to be stumbling, scrolling, and now suddenly landing in a crunchy land, just know some areas will be crunchier than others. Some hills will be steeper than others. Some valleys will be deeper than others. And all of this variety is so that you can decide what it is you want versus what you do not want. Because this is not decided for you, as much as the world would like you to believe. Things are decided for you. That is the illusion. You are the owner of the controller of your life. You are the one in possession of the movement. You are the one who's deciding to hear these things, and you are the one who is deciding to turn your head, look, listen, and observe. And everything that you look at and observe is what is rendered before you as your dualistic reality. You are laying the pavement and driving it at the same time, unbeknownst to your ego. And wouldn't it be threatened by that, to know that you are laying the pavement and driving your life experience every step and breath of the way? Wouldn't it be terrified of such a presence, knowing it could never compete with such power? I think so. I think so. Hudson! This one's just for Hudson, coming in after a long while. I kneel before no God, says second book of Timothy, chapter 3, verse 16 of Deuteronomy, dropping a bunch of scripture. And if I go reading this without any question, I will be just referencing a bibliography. Wouldn't I? I kneel before no God. I'll follow your advice by continuing on my walk. Shantae Winters, thank you for following. Thanks for the love coming in. Those are little love bubbles that I see rising to the surface. Every time they rise, something is being let go and reorganized. That courage of loving that which is unfamiliar or familiar, regardless, it's love. Are we caught up? Janet, thank you for following. And this one's for Hudson. Hudson has been a longtime viewer. And when I did ASMR in the evenings, I would sometimes go from about 8 o'clock until maybe, 2 or 3 in the morning. And the bots would be coming in asking to check out whatever pics in the profile. You know what I'm saying. And Hudson would ask for this single word, and I'm going to give this ASMR for the next 30 seconds. And if you like ASMR, maybe I'll do more. Chandelier. 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 Rubber baby buggy bumpers. The seething sea ceaseth and sufficeth us. Tactical Grandma Chandelier. Tactical Lieutenant Grandma Chandelier. That one's just for you. Thanks, Hudson. And of course, what I'm saying are things that have no meaning. This is presence. We've been talking about consciousness as the aliveness that is the giver and gift of your life and your life experience. And the way we come into consciousness is through 3 different entry points. One is awareness of your breath, so you can give your task to the mind, which would otherwise be jumping around. Say to yourself, say in your mind, I am breathing in. Sueru Namaste, I am breathing out. The divine within me meets and recognizes the all in you. That is yoga. Yoga means union. It also means yoke. We're going to talk about that now. The other way to come into the body is by listening without judging. To the sounds of the birds being just as meaningless as the sounds from my voice. The rustling of the leaves equal in this comparison. You are observing for the sake of seeing aliveness unfold. You are a spectator in an otherwise brutal, ruthless, one life to live battle royale. You are floating and being at the same time. Go into spectator mode. You're no longer participating in the level, in the game, but instead you're observing every player, every participant, including yourself, who may or may not be participating. That is your design and your choice. Yes, you can choose whether or not to participate in painful life experiences. You can choose whether or not to participate in the conversation directed towards you in judgment. You could choose whether or not to participate in an argument as it unfolds before you. God mode, that is your imagination, allows you to instantaneously go into spectator mode and no longer participate, and instead observe. Maddie is dropping some sort of existential crisis, but once again, folks, this is all to say, I'm judging that. I'm playing through my set-top box, my video game system. Maddie's got hers. And so all that's happening right now is Maddie's having an experience, I'm having an experience. And if I want to dive into this story, which essentially means, if we're to translate Jesus, salvation has entered me, please pull salvation out. It's like, that's what we have normally. We normally have salvation pulled out of us. It's like, why stay there? That's my character. It's like, I don't want to be there, but Maddie does. Because it's probably giving attention in some way. It's a negative attention-seeking behavior, which I've just reinforced with a lesson. That's what's beautiful about my character. Is a great behaviorist, you know? He's done a lot of problematic things. He's made a lot of mistakes, this identity, William, but he's a great behaviorist. He notices negative behavior and attention-seeking very quickly. It's my first real job out of college. I was working as a milieu treatment supervisor at a school for children with special needs. And this guy right here, William, first day at the job, walks into the cafeteria. Thank you for all the love, by the way. It's so nice. Lots of love bubbles. So I get into the cafeteria for lunchtime, and boy, oh boy, this student, probably 16 years old, he comes gunning for me. And he's ripping off right away about my mom, about how I'm fat, personal attacks towards my character, just anything offensive that you could say to a stranger that would lead to a fight. And I was about to rip into this little kid physically. I mean, I was maybe at the time 23. I'm 46 now. So half a lifetime ago for me. And this, 16-year-old kid's ripping into a 22, 23-year-old guy. And this is a fight in the making. So I don't fight him, but I'm showing my anger and I'm showing my frustration. And everyone is looking in shock and awe because I'm the only one out of all the staff there in the cafeteria who's responding in this way. What's up, Ami? I see you here. And so it was no more than 15 minutes after lunch had ended that I'm called in by my boss. He sits me down privately in his office and he says, listen, you can't do that again. If you do, you're fired. These children are doing these things because they're seeking attention, and you gave him attention for negative behavior that we've had to curb and teach him to unlearn through positive reinforcement over the last 3 years. And we're not going to have you undo all of that in a single incident. And it just sank in. It sank in. He said, it's nothing to do with you personally. It's to get a response, because that is the learned behavior that has received the most amount of attention by this child since he was a young boy coming in. And so what you need to do is you need to pay attention to that behavior, utilize the token economy, and just like someone who would be at work that would get penalized for saying something negative to a coworker, either with time off, without pay, or what have you, correction. You provide correction in that way, by telling him he's not earning and he's choosing to spend whatever economy we avail to him in reinforcement. He's spending it on going off. And there's a cost. So Maddie, when you come here and you make statements that are nonsensical, but to me, but perhaps are sensical to you for the attention that it gives, notice I've given you a lot of attention, but this is the final time. It's in the form of correction and a lesson. Then now 32 people watching are also learning that they can apply with their children, and it's called planned ignoring. While you also have proximity effect from me being close to you, you also are being ignored. Because that's my choice. Kesu, thank you for following. I think I just heard a frog. I think I just heard a frog. Ami says, I'm sad because of the app issues. I can't get coins, nor can I resubscribe. It's all good, Ami. Your presence is more important than any of that. I want you to believe this and feel it. Paleos says, what's up, bigger homie? We are all one, my friend. Good to see you, Paleos. Welcome back. Thank you for all the love, everyone. It really helps to bring people to this channel so that they can take part in the discovery of consciousness. So once again, we are playing a role. Ani says, aw, how are you today? I'm great, Ani. Very happy to be here with you all. Very happy to be here with you all. So, consciousness is like this. We all have an identity. That's our name. It's our accumulation of life experiences. And we all have a source that powers it. That source you could think of as a watcher of aliveness, but it does not bring with it any sort of judgment or label. It just observes wherever your eyes turn, or your eye, which is the third eye, the imagination. Gail says, peace and love from Michigan. Jared T, thanks for the follow. Nice to see you all here. This is very nice, Gail. Thank you. Right back at you. So the important factor here is, which came first, the chicken or the egg? And what is what? It's a multiple layered question with multiple layers of answers. Wisdom Hunter is 100% present, hearing the commercial plane flying from above. The sound has a beginning, a middle, and an end. By paying attention to that sound, one comes into presence and heals. So Wisdom Hunter is exercising awareness of aliveness, listening to sounds in the environment, and healing. He had typed it long before, I believe, Wisdom Hunter. Yeah, now people are hearing the plane. Paleo says they came at the same time. Oh, this is beautiful. Paleo says, what came first, the chicken or the egg? In accordance to quantum theory, quantum mechanics, it is true. All is one. All arrived at the same time, the chicken and the egg. Beautiful answer. Now let's put it in a different context. See if it shifts. What came first, Paleos or the observation of life as being? What came first, William or his observation of life in being? Is it a trick question? Well, when we came into this life, did we recognize our name? Probably not. I do have an answer, Paleos. The answer in this case is that the observer of our aliveness did not have an association with our name that is the same association as we have now, which is an accumulation of education, life experience, environmental factors, and sensory register in the body, feeling things, memories. We came into this world, arguably you could say that the infinite intelligence already had all of that as capable to roll out for us, but we were not an ego self at the moment of birth. We had yet to accumulate through a manifold expression of life through time. We had yet to accumulate all of the things that we have lived since then. So Paleos asks the double slit question, is it all observation? It is all observation. If we are seeing the past now, we are observing the past through the imagination. So we're using the all, which is the infinite intelligence or the imagination, to observe past while also being present. The issue with that is if we're just going back to observe time for the sake of entertainment, we are misusing the energy, the currency of life, for entertaining something that no longer exists as truth. And what comes from that is pain and suffering. By trying to revisit something that has already occurred, constructing time in order to observe it, we are taking away what otherwise would be a healing moment or a moment of revelation, a moment of truth, a moment of abundance and prosperity that would be presented in a synchronistic way through God's grace in the now. So we have both always available, and what we choose to entertain as thoughts becomes our reality. So for many of us, time is real. For many of us, the past is reality, the future is reality. However, you can't say that 5 minutes ago is happening now unless you convince yourself through the imagination that it is, but it's still illusion. Yeah. It's okay, Paleos. You know, it's not you that has so many questions or doubts. It's the ego being afraid that you're going to stumble upon your truth and being because it's afraid of your death. Its death, it believes, is also your death because it will never see the imagination. The ego can only feed off of the imagination. So it wants you to constantly be questioning things, judging things, labeling things, because it believes it's a mechanism of mere survival. It thinks that you're in a battle royale right now with one life to live that you have to preserve and loot the death boxes of everyone around you like it's Apex Legends. Thank you for that. Heart me, Shannon. So what we're doing right now is we're letting the ego know, your identity know, that there's actually something more than that. More than its accumulation of life experiences. There's actually a provider of your aliveness that allows you to register thoughts, label things, and that source that's feeding you is more you than your ego. The ego does not like to hear that, because if it hears that and you believe it, you are then in the truth and it's no longer with you, And so it starts to die. And then it feels more and more threatened. And then you'll probably see its echoing phantom-like manifestations around you that question everything you're doing, belittle you, try to challenge you, test you, because the subconscious has all of this momentum of most of us living. I'm not assuming you are, Paleos, but most of us are living in fear of death, and we believe ourselves to be victims of external circumstances. And so what happens in this instance of coming into our truth in presence is we find ourselves being challenged by external circumstances that are basically manifest to question, is this really the direction we wish to move in now? Do we really want to be free from pain? Do we really want to be liberated through God's grace, which is truly our truth? We are God's grace, having a manifold experience right now as human. Do we really want to give up all the pain, all the identity, all the story? Because it usually fills the greatest gaps in most people's lives. There's Overhoff, welcome back, says, fear, false evidence appearing real. We do, this is a good question. Okay, Josh Wesley, thank you for following. Chaos Chains understands truth and existence since being a child. This is rare. This is what most gurus who are realized have. They have this illumination early, but it's not common. It's kind of like you went to the Jedi Academy as a young child, and you're now beyond Padawan and becoming your own master. Irish Carey, thank you for following. There's Overhoff asks, isn't the future an illusion also a wish? We will go into this. Shannon, the rock mom, says, oh, I'm here for a message. I can feel it. Indeed, it's happening. It's unfolding before you, Shannon, because it is you doing it. Welcome to your life change. Welcome to your power. Lisa, thank you for following. W. Beckman, you too. There's Overhoff says, most people believe pain is love. We will talk about it. No Spiritual Surrender says, thank you for your service to humanity. This is the only way forward. God bless you for saying that, No Spiritual Surrender. As we come in to talk about the future now, fear is just something I haven't learned to love yet. I love that, Beckman. Well, the good news is you're loving it now by recognizing it is present as illusion. You are coming into your power, understanding you're the creator of false evidence appearing real. It's a man-made thing. Humanity makes pain. Humanity makes illusion. If we come into present moment, we won't have any means to define or label things, therefore we will unify. However, that's not where we're supposed to be right now. This life experience is for us to experience separation, mistakes, errors, ups and downs, peaks and valleys, polarity. We're here for polarity. That's the game. So it's all beautiful. Pelios says, you've got me hooked. You have the answers I've been wondering. Chaos and Chain says, thank you for sharing. Goosebumps coming in to Shannon, the rock mom. Wonderful. Okay, so Pelios, as we come in to discuss also the future and time, keep in mind, anytime you ask a question seeking the answers and definition, know that this is you as a performer, fearing that if you don't have the answers, it somehow will be a threat to your existence. Now, it's a very low-level threat. A big-level threat would be like, I don't know, a war happening before us, but the ego feels anything that doesn't have a definition, that it can't explain, because it's happening in truth and happening in your imagination, which is your salvation. It can't see any of that, so it kind of has the blinders on and it's wanting an explanation. And the only way you can give the ego an explanation of what things really mean is you have to construct time first, go into time, which is having a conversation with a phantom from your past or the future, your ego, and you are placating the ego, or basically giving it the answer that it feels it needs for it to feel safe, but it thinks that it's in charge of your life. Like if you don't get the answer, something's going to happen to you. And that's not the case. You are pure spirit. You're consciousness. Nothing happens to you. It happens from you. Everything happens from you. Therefore, it cannot die. It cannot be harmed. It cannot be destroyed. It cannot be shifted or moved. It's a life principle that is constantly carrying itself out, from the leaves that are blowing in the wind, to the sun that's slowly shifting, to the gusts that are blowing by, to the airplanes going above, to my sounds being made by my voice. We're interpreting these things as an ego self in order to be safe from them. So we create future events as an egoic self performing out our life experience because we want to make sense of that which is unknown. That which probably will never happen is the future. The future is 75 to 80% never going to happen. Yet we think about it happening in order to feel safe from death. This is basically it. So the future is an illusion. It obviously is not happening until anything happens. It's just your present moment is the only truth. Nothing else is truly happening. The past has already occurred. By revisiting it, we have to construct it. By constructing it, we are using our aliveness instead of healing, instead of coming into being and being wish fulfilled. We are using the imagination to create a construct that simply is for entertainment purposes only. That's all it's for. It's to entertain a story that has already occurred in order to try to relive it as best as we can. And what's really unfortunate about this is that most of us revisit the past or speculate about the future. And ourselves are feeling that pain as if it's real, because we are also convincing ourselves that the past and future are real. And so when real issues occur with health and anxiety and issues with depression, like long-term issues, are when we entertain time so much without any revision, we feel pain from it or anxiety as a result of not having a resolution. It means we're not using it for revision. We're just using it like it's a Netflix series feed, and we're watching the series over and over again, believing it to be real and believing ourselves to be subject to it as victims. And so what this creates is an embedded, compressed amount of pain in the cells of our body because it environmentally changes the cells. You see, the cells do not know the difference between our present moment here in aliveness and when we're going into our minds to entertain time. If we entertain time and we feel pain from that, or discomfort, or a general no, and we're not going in with purpose to revise it, to see ourselves healing it and see ourselves healed in it, or to remove ourselves entirely, then we are using it erroneously and it will lead to suffering. Though the ego will make you believe that you're doing the right thing and that this is the only way to solve your problems. And that's the great ruse. The ego takes you down the primrose path. To no avail, you will not find any solution to your problems. The only solution to your problems exists by letting that go and stepping through a narrow gate into the imagination, your nation of images in the mind, and living from the end as a wish-fulfilled, perfectly healthy, perfectly happy, abundant, loved, successful person. This is the only way that you can heal the pains of your past in a true fashion. It's by surrendering the entire situation of illusion to the higher power, which is your imagination. This is Christ. It is the anointment, and when you step through the narrow gates into the imagination, you are in fact stepping into your kingdom of heaven and becoming anointed, bathed in the oils of truth that is your aliveness by Christ. Because there is no limitation, there are no barriers when you step into the imagination. You are now coming into your kingdom. What is more a kingdom than that which has no bounds, no limits, no restrictions, and is totally reserved for you and you alone? No one can take it from you. No one can interfere with it unless you allow it. That is a kingdom. And so your kingdom of heaven is the imagination, and it's totally yours. And by stepping into it, you are anointed as a king, as a queen, as an emperor, as an empress, whatever you decide. There is no restriction and there are no limitations. And so it becomes an impression that you leave by stepping into that kingdom, by imagining yourself as wish fulfilled. That is your salvation. That is Jesus. Jesus means salvation. The process is, I think, I feel, I become. I think something in the imagination, I feel it in the body notices the change of environment, it knows no difference between when I think of something in the imagination with my eyes closed or when I'm seeing something before me. Therefore, I change my cellular environment through epigenetics by stepping into the imagination, imagining myself as wish fulfilled. And by going there and seeing it from the end as totally fulfilled, I am changing the environment of my cells, and thus the reflection from that sent outward is a reorganization of our physical reality that happens slower than the rest, but all the same, the seeds are being planted. Now, the one thing you need to exercise as this is being formulated into your life is something called faith. What faith is believing what you see by living at the end, from the end in the imagination. It's believing that that is your truth over what is apparent before you. Because there may be undesirable things. As long as you are believing that your imagination is Christ and is a higher power, is your salvation, regardless of what people are saying, even if people judge you, this is why you pray in secret. This is why you use the imagination in secret, and you do not reveal the details to anyone until it is manifest. Because your past, your ego, will want to destroy that because it knows it's a threat to its own existence so long as you stay there in the truth of your being as wish fulfilled. So we're getting into it now. Let's get back to comments. We got a lot of good people here and we got a lot of things being said. So I want to catch up. Zig, thank you for sharing. Chains, thank you if you're still here, that you have a beautiful day. Thank you for your gifts. And not buying it says love, compassion are antithetical to polarity. This is true. It is the positive and negative polarity that we're talking about that is duality. Ida and Pingala, active, passive, receiving, giving. Love and compassion are holistic, which means they are one, they are whole. Thank you for that, Heart Me. Was that Voltage I saw? I agree. So we got a lot of folks talking here. Oh, Ellen says, this is beautiful. Let me pin this. I've been doing the birthday cake exercise and watched Neville Goddard's audiobook this morning. You watched Feeling is the Secret. While Ellen, you are following all the steps for your liberation of self, coming into your truth and your power. The birthday cake meditation, for those who are wondering, is when you close your eyes and you imagine there being a birthday cake before you. You take a deep inhale through the nose because it activates nitric oxide. And you imagine blowing out the candles. This switches on the parasympathetic nervous system, which allows you to retain information better. It reduces inflammation in the body, and it takes away the fight or flight. So you can do that anytime. And that's the practice that Ellen has mentioned, while also listening to Neville Goddard's Feeling is the Secret. It's about a 40-minute audiobook. And so Peleos is asking for my meditation routine. It's about 5 minutes in the morning, 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, just coming easily into the day before you check your cell phone, before you do anything. Just come in contact with the body and the surface of the ground. And I usually say thank you. I say thank you for the gift of consciousness on this day. I say that as an identity. Thank you for the gift of consciousness because I have another day to play. And so that's how I start. And then I do some physical yogic exercises. I do a modified frog pose where I come up on my hands and I lift the back of my body up while scrunched together. I'd have to show it to you. I'm not going to do it here in the woods. I suppose I can show you. And I do this while reciting a mantra for manifestation. So, like this, coming up into a frog pose, and then You tuck your elbows into the inner leg, squeeze your inner leg, and look at one focus. Back legs lift off. And you do that while reading affirmations that are right down below you. And that's what I do. I'm literally off the ground, just supported by my hands. I read affirmations in the morning. And that gets my upper body pumping and gets the blood going. It also works on my balance. And when I come up, I do hands together and I do a back bend for a while. And I really push it hard to start to bring some flexibility into the spine. And then I do a few other movements that are yogic. And once all that's done, I go on to TikTok, I start answering comments, and I start sending out stuff regarding promotions for products. I'll review products. That's my basic meditation. 11 Jedi says, I have faith. That is the one thing I have. Well, as you have faith, imagine adding more things that you would desire. Because if you see them as real, the cells believe them to be real, it starts to express themselves in your reality. Thank you, there's Overhoff. David Reed says, the birthday cake breathing exercise I learned from you yesterday really helped a lot. Thank you. I'm so grateful for you. High Voltage Hippie, I saw your gift and thank you for following. Dawn Lamont, thank you for following. Mira, thank you for following. The Emerald Cottage, thank you for following. Beautiful to see you all here. 11 Jedi says, I'm halfway to Tahiti right now. You are in Tahiti. This is the big joke but it's the truth. You are in Tahiti right now. Adeline Ray Mitchell, thank you for following. Slumber Artist Dreamer, thank you for following. Badger asks, where are the late night streams? I know. Changes. Changes. Love this correct live enjoy. That's the meditation routine for the most part there. Double G, thank you for following. I think I'm caught up here on everyone. I think. Warrior Granny, thank you for following. Lisa Harvey, you too. Who else we have here? E with the lips, thank you for following. Ryan 2024, thanks for following. Mr. Tommy Pickles says, beautiful day. Slumber Artist says, thank you. Center Life, thanks for following. Center Life says, this guy is living his best life. I am indeed Center Life, and I imagine you are too. That's the boomerang. Have we talked about the boomerang? Imagine everyone living their wish-fulfilled life who's in the room right now. You can imagine 44 people having a complete and total wish-fulfilled life, whether you're in Tahiti, whether you're living the dream, having a great time. You want everyone to be in their glory. No separation between their aliveness in being as a perfect person and their truth right now. Pelios loves yoga. Mary Samaran, I must have missed you. Thank you for following. Center Life says very poignantly, I wake up and have to poo immediately. That's a good sign. That's a sign that your digestion is working well, my friend. Well done. Share your routine with a diet with people who are having issues. Eat mangoes if you need to go. It helps a lot. It's very full of fiber. Eyes Open, thanks for following. Custom LA, thanks for following. Blue Butterfly, thanks for following. Azraelish, thank you for following. And I got High Voltage Hippie, so we are, I think, caught up. Changes. Okay, Shannon says, I keep looking for how I will find abundance instead of living in the abundance. And this is a very, very honest statement. Beckman saying we're all living the lives we've dreamed of. Thank you, Mary. This is the idea here. We have a reality before us that may not be desirable in certain instances, though there might be other things that we like. That's a good time to be grateful. Every time is a good time to be grateful. Because listen, if you know what you don't like, then it is a prompter to use your imagination to imagine it differently, to imagine it ideally in your life. So anytime you witness your body being in a state of an excited no, like your body is agitated and you're saying no, it is a prompter for you to then step into the imagination and revise it by being the perfection that you would wish for in the now. I am very happy where I am right now. The slight variation that I make as these leaves rustle from the beechwood is that I see my children by my side, walking with me, asking me questions, exploring, finding stones and asking me what they are, seeing birds, asking me what species they are, asking me what type of trees these are, identifying the trail. Most of that is happening while we talk, because it is my ultimate desire for my children to be with me pretty much all the time through me educating them and nurturing their lives. And so I got all the middle-aged women meowing in here. That's very kind of you. Tabitha, thanks for sharing. Yeah, it's funny. Tabitha says, lol, what did I miss? Lol. Tabitha wants to be. I'm not doing much other than being, my avatar, and everyone else is being their avatar. And then we jump out of that. We go into the imagination, and then we come back and we become observers of our performers, our identity, our egos. So we go from being performers to watchers of the performance. And while we're not watching the performance or coming in and out of performing like I do, like I get shy, I hear those things, I blush, that's me acting, that's me performing, right? I'm in body. I'm my ego self. That's natural. And then what happens is I become aware of that, and now I start to observe my aliveness. And when that happens, I notice the muscles in my body start to relax, the crinkles in my head start to go down, a general brightness starts to come in, and it's a feeling of ease. And all we're doing is we're flexing in and out of this practice until the flex becomes a permanent decision to change our personality from being a performer to a watcher. Perform at my house next, please, says, what do I call you? I see 2 green leaves. 2 green leaves? Look at this by Margie. Margie says, Lamel, hey, what's it to you? I'm roaring, not meowing. Beckman asks, do you see colors as you meditate? I see swirls of greens and blues during meditation. Absolutely. Those are called phosphenes. And I do see them mostly when I'm sun gazing. So in this case, directing my head towards the sun with my eyes closed, turning my eyes slightly inward and staying as still as I can while comfortable produces the effect. What it is the low level or low grade release of dimethyltryptamine by your body. You're producing it through tryptophan, through your diet, and it's giving you a fractal experience, which could be considered to some people psychedelic, but it's produced by the body. So it's great. It means that you have synchronicity between the brain hemispheres, and it means that you're producing nice doses of DMT, and it comes with the benefit of serotonin, which is a mood elevator, and it also synthesizes anandamide, which is the bliss hormone that's an endocannabinoid naturally produced by the body. Also, the precursor is tryptophan and arachidonic acid, but it's being synthesized in you to give you relief. Phosphenes indeed, Central Life. That's the key. Paleo says, I always see orange, blue, and green. Call me Duke. You got it, Duke. Welcome. Phosphenes. Central Life says you seem well read. Thank you very much, Central Life. These are the things that I'm fascinated about, so I absorb them when I enjoy them. Stevia Ray Love says, sun is medicine. Let's talk about it. The big medicine here in the woods, aside from coming in contact with this antenna that's releasing free electrons, is the wideband radiation coming from the sun. This wideband radiation, when it comes in contact through the skin with your body, it converts cholesterol into vitamin D. And that vitamin D serves as a transport mechanism for calcium and other nutrients to be distributed through the body in a proper way, leading to a reduction in inflammation and cortisol levels. Remember, if you put your cells in a place of health by going into your imagination and seeing yourself as wish fulfilled, you're bathing your cells, you're bringing them on vacation, and you're giving them total relief. And so the result is they relieve you. They start to send signals to the brain, which work the psychopharmacology of the brain, start to release a bunch of endorphins. So it's really a chain effect. The sun is going to help to reduce inflammation in the body. It releases endorphins, it heals your skin, and it heals wounds. In fact, it's just such a surprise to me that people who are going through major wound therapy, they have to heal from big wounds, aren't exposed to the sun at hospitals. It's almost like the opposite is being done. You know, you're put behind these brick walls, no sun exposure. So important. I mean, you could put sunblock on a small plant, a sapling, and it will die in a day. It's more effective in killing the plant than weed killer. This is the other part. So my hand is coming in contact with this tree. This tree is releasing free electrons or negative ions, however you want to refer to it. They're being released from the negatively charged earth. There's a biofield being managed by this tree. It's running at a frequency of 7.83 hertz. It's about a 4-second cycle. And this 4-second cycle is now changing the actual frequencies of my brain. I'm coming into a theta state, which is why I'm flowing with words. It's a combination of theta state with gamma. Gamma is what you would consider peak experience in psychology when you're in flow. So the way my brain is functioning right now is the hemispheres are synced. I have a low band 7.83 hertz from the biofield of this tree and the forest running through me, which is theta, and it heals the physical body, allows the absorption of free electrons, the reduction of free radicals, they fall out, no longer bind to the cells, and then I can go into cellular reparation. At the same time, there's about a 20 to 30 hertz range frequency that's bouncing back and forth, and it's really just flowing. And that is giving me peak experience so that I can keep my body warm with thermogenesis, with the mitochondria in my skin, as well as have this peak performance of delivery with my words. So that's really what's happening. And all of this is flowing through. The earth is negatively charged, Pelios, and we as human beings are positively charged. And so if you have too much positively charged ions in the body, they bind to cell structures and cause a bunch of problems. They're called free radicals. They can lead to mutations of your cell structure, can reduce your lifespan by reducing the length of your telomeres, which are kind of like the plastic caps on the end of your shoelaces. Think of that as the duration of your cell's life and the quality of that. The more we go through oxidative stress, stressful situations, the more those caps shorten, those telomeres, and that leads to a number of health-related issues. So what we want to actually do is reverse that through telomerization. It's a long word. Telomerization. And what that does is it extends these caps, thus restoring your life. And that's what we're going for. By reducing the inflammation of the body, allowing there to be these natural absorptions of healing elements from the sun and the free electrons from the forest, which you can also get from running streams. Waterfalls are a huge source, as well as the ocean waves. And you get the added benefit of the ocean waves, that it's jam-packed with magnesium and zinc. So you can just put your feet into the ocean water and absorb a lot of that magnesium and zinc. It removes impurities from the body and helps you with your sleep cycles. Also, the sun helps with your sleep cycles by regulating melatonin release. As the sun goes down, the third eye, which is receptive to light, the pineal gland is receptive to light. It's non-hemispherical, which means it's a whole element of the brain. It's the only whole element of the brain, and it's light sensitive. So what happens is as the sun goes down, it sends signals to the brain through the pineal gland that it's time to start releasing melatonin. And if you have a nice charge of sun, then it knows how to regulate that. And also, if you're reducing your fluoride intake, your pineal gland will be more flexible and less calcified or decalcified, and thus be able to produce more quality melatonin. Not just better quality melatonin, but better quality serotonin, anandamide, and dimethyltryptamine. Okay. Talking a lot of science, but it's fun to talk about. Let's get caught up here. Pelios asks, so we make us sick. Garrett has a grounding sheet. I would love to hear more about that, Garrett. That sounds beautiful. Tabitha, thanks for following. Broken Butterfly, you too. Thanks for following. It's Duke, right? Did I say it right? Kimberly Ladd, thanks for following. Pelios. 9DZ Seed, thanks for following. Okay, we're caught up there. Oh, we had one thing from Tabitha. Oh, people are talking. That's good. I love when people talk. Got Broken Butterfly. Lefty, thanks for Lucky Lefty, thanks for sharing. Center Life asks a really big question. Bob, thanks for following. Endo's Purpose. Center Life asks, how do phosphines affect circadian rhythm? Endo, nice to meet you too. So this is a great question. A lot of this is speculation at this point in time because I don't think a lot of research has been done on this. However, the phenomenon I have noticed and heard from at least a dozen other people that they're experiencing phosphines from the sun. What it requires is just kicking back like in a lounge chair as if you were at the ocean, at the beach. And you just stay as still as you can with your eyes closed and relaxed and exercise blowing out the candles of your birthday cake in this way. And what will happen is you will start to notice a pulsing of light that comes from the third eye. Basically, if you close your eyes while looking at the sun, you will see a horizon line. The bottom will be red in hue, the top will be violet blue in hue, and there's a center line that you can focus on where the colors blend. That's where you want to keep your focus. Turn your eyes slightly inward and just eyes closed, feeling the warmth of the sun directly. After about 5 to 10 minutes, you'll start to recognize a visual phenomena as DMT starts to be secreted from the pineal gland through the cerebrospinal fluid. You join in with the frequency of the Schumann frequency of the earth, and it literally cycles through you in the form of a visual phenomena called phosphines. So the question coming in is, how do these phosphines affect our circadian rhythm? My speculation is that we are almost like charging a battery, and that once the battery is full, my phosphines stop. After maybe 5 or 10 minutes, they're intense, they slow down, and then they come to a conclusion. I almost feel like it's charging up something in the brain, maybe the pineal gland, maybe the third ventricle is getting a charge, maybe the pituitary as well. And what this does is my dreams now, they're very lucid, which means I'm aware, I recall the dream state, and I'm also aware on a number of occasions when I'm dreaming that it is a dream. And I start to question my subconscious while within the dream. And it has major consequences for the life experience, like right now, in that it manifests my desires. So you can use it as a means, as a portal to manifesting your desires. And I believe that that's what it's really here for. I believe the sun is like an umbilical cord. We are like the star children of this world, and we're receiving nutrients from this umbilical cord in this pulse at the frequency of the earth. That's my little speculative story, but that's how I feel about it, and it feels so good. It's pain reducing, pain relieving, it's anxiolytic, which is anti-anxiety. The sun gives you all these benefits. It's so lovely. All right, let's catch up on things here. That's my theory. Christina says, hi, William. Hello, Christina. Great to see you again. Thanks for following there. I think it was Duke. Yes. Jen asks, where are you located? I'm in Connecticut, New England. Thank you, Jen. Tabitha says, I've got 2 accounts in here of mine. Nice. You're literally living duality. Hello, Annalise. All right. Jen is in Minnesota. Difficult to get solar and ground is frozen. Try copper. Try a copper vessel or a copper wire when it thaws. I know it's very cold in Minnesota. Try a copper wire in the ground and then just hold on to it. It's a good way to get a nice charge, just grounding yourself. Duke asks, don't you see phosphenes from any bright light? I've never experienced phosphenes from anything other than sun exposure. That's my personal experience. That said, even if the sun isn't shining direct, if there's cloudy overcast, I can still see them. They're just not as intense. Glory to God says, hello from Kentucky. It's a beautiful day. Indeed it is. Blessings to you. Glory to God. Eleven Jedi says, I heard birthdays are just a way for us to age faster and realize our imminent death. Well, it is a story, right? We're talking about labeling things. Pelios asks, what if you never dream? Well, technically, you are dreaming, Pelios. The idea is that you're detaching from your ego self, traveling off into some world that could be total nothing. You don't remember any of it. That's fine. But the bottom line is, in order to sleep, you must detach from your ego. So the ego experiences death every single day. And you send off this echo to the subconscious. And then you come back into your body. You're born into your body in the morning. Kimberly Ladd, thanks for subscribing to the YouTube. I just saw that pop in. Super awesome. Really means a lot to me. Thank you. You come back into your body in the morning. It's a birth. So you do dream by going out of the body and coming back in. And while you're resting, you're basically having communion with your highest self, with the subconscious mind, which is your senior partner and loves you. Jen has dreams all the time. Duke never stops seeing the phosphenes. That's great. It means you're charging up, I think, I would say. Cass says, once you realize you're in a dream, you can control them. How is that any different than our waking life? And I love this. Cass, you're always providing so many poignant statements here. Shake and Bake 420, thanks for following. Let's see what we got here. Garrett says, my uncle in the 1950s, after coming in from farming, would hold a copper wire from ground in each hand. There you go. That will extend your life. That will extend your life. Jen says, I've always said I'm hydro and solar powered. Now I have science to back it up. Indeed. Center Life says, I would describe a phosphene as an inner light. That is a perfect way to describe it. It is light that is coming from within you, and it's coming from the biophotons of your cells and from its blend with dimethyltryptamine, I believe. I believe dimethyltryptamine is powering the fractal experience. So the higher your quality of DMT that you produce through your body naturally, the more powerful the phosphenes. And that happens as you reduce your amount of intake of fluoride. That's why I suggest to everyone that you drink spring water from a charged vessel like this. You'll see a video of this in my videos talking about drinking from copper from a charged vessel. Okay, so I think we're caught up here. Salt water helps to charge your internal batteries. 1 teaspoon of high quality salt in 1 gallon of water. Also very important. Helps with the conductivity of the brain. The brain's highly electric. You also need cholesterol, everyone. I know this goes against what the doctors are saying, but you really need cholesterol because your brain is mostly made of cholesterol and fat. And the sun here converts most of that cholesterol into vitamin D with your exposure to it, but you need to also have extra for your brain to function. Otherwise, it literally starts to degrade. Most of the individuals who have Alzheimer's, it's also paired with very low cholesterol levels, and they're put on medication to prevent the cholesterol levels from being at a level that would allow proper brain function. And forgive me, I know doctors are probably going to say otherwise, but the evidence is there now. It's really there. The LDL cholesterol. Amber, thank you for following. Glory to God says, Lucid Dreams, Mosaic Muse. Thanks for sharing. Great to see you again. Blessed in life. Thank you for sharing. What does a different altered state of mind have anything to do with it? Well, we're constantly altering our consciousness based on what we entertain. You have a different idea of consciousness. I do. Everyone has their own set of eyes and senses with this haptic suit that's the body. So we're constantly altering our consciousness with every single thought. That's the micro version answer of it. But if you want to change your personality, the change of personality for your benefit, to reduce pain, to get over life experiences that are traumatic. Personally, the only way to do this is to seek out a higher power, which is your imagination, to utilize and prioritize it over your waking life experience, and to observe the pain as it occurs rather than to participate in it unknowingly and unconsciously. So by being aware that the pain's happening, you're not accepting it, you're not saying no to it either, but instead you're observing it as the aliveness of your being. And what that does is it unwinds it and heals it. And the more that you escape by leaving that space and going into the imagination, you can start with the birthday cake exercise. It's a great way to jump into the imagination. The more you use it, seeing yourself living from the end as a wish-fulfilled self, the faster you heal and the more relief you will feel in the immediate moment, because your cells will start to adapt in believing that they're on vacation from whatever pain they've been exposed to for however long. And some of us, like myself, have very deeply embedded pain bodies that require a lot of unwinding. That's why I feel qualified to speak to you about this, because I'm now starting to feel the unwinding of this. It's more my being than what I was as an identity, so I feel like I'm appropriately placed to offer feedback as to how to unwind these things naturally for your relief and empowerment. That's where I feel. Glory to God says, I fly in my dreams, as do I. And this is beautiful because it shows that there's no limitation, no restriction when it comes to the subconscious. But the conscious mind has all of these constructs of belief in which we impose restrictions on our lives. But in dream state, we don't have all of those restrictions carried with us. So we literally can fly, and we can transport through space and time. The imagination and our dream state are in fact one and the same. However, the imagination gives you the added benefit of being awake right now and also dreaming. So you can lucid dream right now. It's called the imagination. You step into it. You have complete control. You can do anything. You can be anything. And if you believe yourself to be that more than where you are right now, it becomes you. Okay? It becomes you. 11 Jedi avoids doctors unless it's an emergency. You're not alone. Glory to God, I appreciate you too. Observe, not absorb. I love this, Shannon. Let's pin this. It's a great comment. So once again, we're being watchers of our aliveness more than absorbing as a participant or performer of our aliveness. And it is this coming into being that heals. Forest Therapeutics, thank you for following. We have more people coming in here. Cray, thank you for following. Glory to God says, I'm escaping evil when I fly. We should talk about what evil and good and evil is, right? For there's nothing inherently good or bad, but thinking it makes it so. And so by believing that something is coming for you, or whatever it is that you're escaping it, is simply a construct based on your own personality, your own life experiences, sending out what it believes to be a program or an impression. So the evil, as you perceive it, is an impression that you've left on your subconscious, and it's reflecting itself. So now you can come into your power and you can turn to it and say, because you no longer fear death, right? What happens when you die in your dream? If you ever were to be in harm, you're immediately awakened. Trust me when I say the subconscious mind knows no difference between when you're asleep and dreaming, when you're using the imagination, and when you're living in the waking life. All three of them you are saved from, no matter how bad. We may perceive other people as being permanently injured or go through unalive or whatever it is. That's what we perceive. But we're still perceiving consciousness no matter what happens to us. Consciousness does not die. We are carried from one form of being to another form of being, and that never ends, nor has it ever begun, because it is the truth in the infinite self. That is our truth. So it helps to overcome the fear of death, which is the greatest fear for most individuals. Garrett says, as a kid, I would fly all the time in my dreams. Go back to it. It's very liberating. To fly is a very unique feeling. It's almost like there's a tightness and then like a transportation and floating, but flying in dreams is really fun. Brianna says, this is one of the best lives I've come across. Thank you so much, Brianna. Shits and Giggles, thanks for following. What a name. User 6232475430523, thanks for following. Everyone's got their own idea of what good or bad is. Thank you very much for chiming in and agreeing, Marla. So there's nothing inherently good or evil, but thinking it makes it so. Why? Because we become what we think about as made in the image and likeness of the infinite intelligence that is also known as God, Christ consciousness, the One, All, Allah, Buddha. However you want to define it, try not to get into the whole idea that this is a being, because if you get into the idea that this infinite intelligence is a thing, then you fall into the trap of introducing it to duality. Anything that you see here in your physical reality is in fact subject to the same rules in that it must have a beginning, middle, and end. I spoke about that before with the passing of the plane. You hear the sound strongly in the beginning, then it gets weaker and finally dissipates. All things, including the feelings in your body, must have a beginning, an intense middle, and an end. That is, all things that are physical are subject to this. Because duality in itself is not real. Only oneness is truth. However, we are living in a reality that is subject to duality. We have to have it to have a life experience. And we also have to be fed by a unifying source in order to experience aliveness. So the gift of being human is being granted with a body that is a temple of God, an amalgamation of about 50 trillion cells. In each cell, 100 trillion atoms exist, making you about 7 to 8 octillion atoms in composition. This comes from one cell. When you were conceived, when you as a sperm made it against 250 million other competitors to the cosmic egg, fertilized it, you were granted the gift of living in duality as a being, as a temple of God, as well as having access to the imagination, which is Christ. So you have your kingdom of heaven, which is the imagination, and you have the result of your work in that kingdom, which is your waking life. You have both. That's pretty epic. So you can make mistakes. In fact, that's why you're here. As an identity, being an identity itself is a mistake. So let that set the standard. Do not hold any grudges against yourself nor anyone else. We are here to play the game and make mistakes. We're here to learn. We're here to be expressed through. We are here to be instruments made in the image and likeness of a superior intelligence that knows how to heal us, knows how to expand us, and knows how to manifest our desires. So there really should be no reason for you to ever feel any sort of guilt or resentment for anyone or yourself. We're all playing the game. You wouldn't hold any resentment towards someone playing a video game better or worse than you. They simply are playing the game the way they know it. We just want to play the game ourselves. We want the opportunity of being able to play it better than others. It's kind of a competition in that way. But we don't resent other gamers because they play it better or worse, unless we're really performing hard in believing that this game is real. And once you believe that the game is everything, that's when we fall into these traps of being resentful, maniacal, resisting, indifferent, warring, jealous, envious. We do all those things the moment that we believe this game is our only reality, that it's the only thing we have, that it's one life to live, even though we're coming and going into a new life every day. When we fall asleep, we start the process of entering into a new life. So once you get into that concept and you understand the truth of why we're here and what this really means, you'll no longer be envious of anyone. because you'll have everything through the imagination. You'll have your faith, which carries the distance to your manifestation. And you'll want for others what it is that you are manifesting. You would want them to be enriched by it. Because truly, as a child, you can recall perhaps wanting to give your best things to everyone, because the joy in giving your best things to people was seeing the joy in their face and the response. There's something inherently beautiful about giving everything that you have that is of value to someone, knowing that it will come right back to you. That's the beauty of a child. They're not thinking about where that meal is coming from. They just want to give every best morsel to their loved ones because they just have faith that it's there again. This is where we're going. When we go into the imagination, everything is replenished instantaneously. Everything is provided. So the joy is in giving that. It's effectively a boomerang that comes back and around, and it enriches your life. Thank you for all your kind comments, people coming in. There's Overall says, I love the sound of the leaves crunching as you walk, so calming. Thank you. I should calm my voice a bit too. Warrior Granny asks, when speaking about pain, does this include physical pain from herniated discs? We will get to this. The short answer is yes. We'll get to it. Joe Ray, thanks for following. Mama Heart, thanks for sharing. Lucky Lefty says, Meta Vibes, thank you. Texas KC72, thanks for following. Abby Normal, you too. Tina B, thanks for following. Will E. Coyote, thanks for following. Jen says, you're amazing. Thank you. Your voice is already calming. Thank you. It is. I'm being reminded by you beautiful people to fall into ASMR a bit more. Okay. Warrior Granny asks, when speaking about pain, does this include physical pain from herniated discs? Yes. Perhaps you've heard, Granny, that most back pain is emotional in a lot of ways. The tension starts to build, the anticipation of the electric current shocking the body of the herniated disc, slipping, and the back nerves crunching from the vertebrae, having no cushion between it. You can almost feel the pain forming right now. I can almost feel it. Well, I remember I was about 31 years old. I'm now 46. And I was rear-ended on the highway at high speed during rush hour. And the person was distracted. They rear-ended my car. I was skyrocketed across the highway and fortunately didn't collide with any other vehicles and went to the breakdown lane. Was hospitalized, went to physical therapy, and after the scan, the CAT scan was done of my back, and I went back to the chiropractor. The chiropractor, I am a young man still indeed, the chiropractor said, you have the back of a 75-year-old man with osteoporosis. It's likely you'll be in a wheelchair in about a year or two. You won't be mobile again. And there was a part of me that didn't know as much as I know now, but still believed that I could mitigate this pain by stretching regularly, changing my diet, losing weight, and doing a number of other things that would release the pressure, at least physically. So I did them. And I started to embrace yoga, and I lost a lot of weight, and the pain went away. But what also happened during that time that I now know I was doing was I refused to believe that I had osteoporosis as a 75-year-old man. I refused it. And I knew, and I know now, that every cell in my body comes from one progenitor zygote. It's a stem cell that we all have, that we come from when we unify the sperm and egg and become alive. and that one cell carries with it and carried with it the infinite intelligence that knew the means and the way to formulate my entire body. And because I know that now, I know the intelligence is within my body to relieve all of my pain, all of my suffering, all of any sort of inflammation. And all I need to do, instead of going against it, fighting it, medicating it, whatever it is, I simply go into the imagination and I imagine myself literally doing back bends and then going to a pull-up bar and hammering out a bunch of chin-ups. And then I do a bunch of push-ups, and then I blow out the candles of my birthday cake. And the moment that the pain starts to subside and disappear, I say, I'm so grateful for having the healthiest back in the world. I'm so grateful that I have all of this flexibility and that I feel like I'm as young as I was when I was in my early 20s, that I have better flexibility than I ever have before. I'm so grateful to be able to do these incredible things right now without any delay, without any pain or restriction. And so what happens then is the cells in my body have changed their environment from going into a traumatized state of disc slipping sciatica to a fully restored, fully vitalized immune system, cellular structure, disc herniations have gone away, and I have a perfect spine. You can see I start to perk up in my posture. My abs start to become tighter. I start to observe my health as that, because every cell in my body believes itself to be there. And so this is called epigenetics, and this was studied by Bruce Lipton. Dr. Bruce Lipton has been studying cells since the 60s, and we're going to talk about this now. Jen, thanks for following. Healthy body, healthy mind, healthy body. Pelios asks, wait, you're 75. I was told I had the back of a 75-year-old when I was early 30s, and that went away. Sean Scott, thank you for following. I've also had major falls since then. Fallen down the stairs, busted up a lot of things, and I've healed it all through the Lord, through the imagination. Garrett says, an hour away from surgery from a herniated fifth lumbar, I avoided it, which led to yoga, 1974. There you go, Garrett. Life change. Om Sai Ram. Warrior Granny says, wow, thank you. You got it, Granny. And you know, it's really now an opportunity for you to step right into the imagination, see yourself before a birthday cake, take a deep inhale through the nose, blow out your candles, and start to have this beautiful dialogue with yourself. Wow, I am so grateful that I have total mobility, that there wasn't ever any pain, because I feel the truth now. I know myself as healed. I know myself as mobile. I know myself as fully flexible and capable of all things. I'm enjoying my time, doing the things that I love the most. Whereas once there was a restriction, I know that that was nothing but illusion, because I'm living from the end as a wish-fulfilled self right now. Every cell in my body is reforming itself and recycling, removing impurities, coming back, handing me the endorphins that handle any sort of pain, mitigates it immediately, because it knows the means and the way. Not only that, every cell in my body understands that I am the one who has access to the imagination, and I am the only one. Therefore, it responds in turn wherever I transport myself to. I thus transport my cells to, and those cells follow suit in feeling my vacation from pain. I am totally relieved and so grateful to be living the perfect life. This is what you do. This is what you do. The birthday cake. Tercio, thank you for following. Nina, thank you for following. Cody Girl, thanks for following. Pelio says, I talk this much in person too. It's okay. Try observing that. Try observing it rather than believing it is your personality. That's a way to come into being. But it's great that you're talkative. You're enthusiastic about this. Endo's Purpose, thanks for following. Brittany, thanks for following. Joe says, thanks for the support, man. I really enjoyed listening to you. Thanks again. You're most welcome, Joe. Enjoy your day as a wish-fulfilled self. It's your power and it's your divine birthright. Miranda Lucker, thanks for following. TB Brown, thanks for following. Carol says, you're very interesting. Thanks, Carol. You too. Brittany says, can you explain the birthday cake thing, the candles? Of course, Brittany. And for everyone, so you know, I should get back to ASMR voice. For everyone, you should know that every one of these live discourses on consciousness and healing, you can find on my YouTube, and it's in my bio. And it's the channel William Vincent Carlton. I think it says Sacred Imagination, but it's really William Vincent Carlton, and it takes you there. The link takes you there. And you will find the discourses that we've had, which over the last few days have been very enlightening and filled with questions and just chock full of insights. Donnie, thanks for following. So here it is, Brittany. What we're going to do together is use the imagination. Close your eyes. Breathe normally. And I want you to imagine, on the next inhale, a birthday cake before you that's well lit with candles. Breathe in. Blow out the candles. Open your eyes. Now you've switched into parasympathetic nervous system mode. You're no longer afraid, no longer running, or anything like that. It switches the nervous system so that you can be receptive to learning. And it's as easy as that because we've given the mind a task. Let's do it again. Close your eyes. Imagine the cake before you. Deep inhale. You know the drill. Blow out the candles. All the candles out. All right. Open your eyes. I love it too. It's so nice. You see, the brain, the mind never stops speaking. It never stops delivering feed. It's like a social media network. It's not like it's going to stop feeding you something if you scroll. The only way that we can mitigate that or slow it down is by transporting ourselves elsewhere. And so the exercise actually is a transportation vehicle. We're going to the birthday cake. We're physically imagining ourselves blowing out the candles. The candles are real. And this is the beginning phase to living from the end as a wish-fulfilled self. From there, you add all the details. Your perfect health, physical appearance, accessories, clothing, jewelry, people outside of you, what you're saying to them if you're living in your glory, what that conversation's like, perfect love, what it feels like to be embraced with that, the scenarios that you would love to enjoy with the perfect love, vacationing. And it's not about the barriers that need to be in place for you to be there. Yeah, I got to do these things, but at least I can think about it. No, it's you are there. This is the whole thing from Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. You are the wish-fulfilled self. You are on the vacation. You are with the bank account filling with money, ticking into the green unbelievably. You don't need to know the means and the way because you're there. What's great about that is the more you believe yourself to be there, the more your cells know they're there, and the subconscious becomes impressed by it and must express itself in your physical world. There is no choice in the matter. Just as there is no choice in the matter for any seed that comes into this earth under the proper conditions for it to be expressed. There's no discrimination when it comes to these trees. They all came from seed, and the earth expressed it. Think of the earth as your subconscious mind. And when you are using the imagination with consciousness and believing yourself to be living from the end, the seed is planted in your personal Garden of Eden, in your wish fulfillment center, and it must be expressed. Must be. Damien, thank you for following. Gum Raps, Who's Rappin', thanks for following. Witches of SMB, thank you for following. Brittany says, love this, thank you. You're most welcome, Brittany. Debbie, followed, thank you. Bronwyn, Cunning Woman and Sage, thank you for following. Wild Rose, thanks for following. Pelio says, there's a movement happening, I can feel it. Indeed. Donnie, I think I got you before. And we're caught up, thanks for following. We are already in heaven. This is a wonderful truth. CMC says it. We were granted heaven upon conception. Remember what we were doing before we were conceived? We were racing down corridors of perilous environments against 250 million other competitors who wanted the cosmic egg, and we were the one who arrived at the cosmic egg rather slowly, and when we arrived, maybe there were 10 or 15,000 others all laughing at us as they hammered away with their pickaxes to break through the outer shell of the cosmic egg. Perhaps you can recall that now. Some part of you didn't listen to all that mockery, for you had worked so hard to make it to this point to begin with. You figured, at least it's worth a try. A Willy Wonka's shot in the dark, like the child who watches everyone get everything that they need without any worry. You come from the lowest of the low, the hardest of the hard life living, not to give up now. So you peck away at the side of the egg that's the hardest, like a diamond shell. You just start pecking away. And in that moment in time, you hear a voice in the back of your head, and I love saying this. It says, use the force. Force? What's the force? You must believe you are one with the egg. Okay, I must believe I'm one with the egg. All right. And then suddenly, something happens. An enzyme gets released from the surface of this diamond-coated egg. It flows into your mind and into your body, and suddenly that tail that was wiggling pretty hard starts going lightning fast and erratic. The next thing you know, you've got enough momentum. You're like a drill, working your way through this impossible surface. Meanwhile, those 15,000 others who were mocking you just moments before, who thought they were going to make it to the egg, they hear something drilling on the other end and are curious to know what it is, because it's you. And by the time they come around and they see what evidence of what you've done is left, you've already passed through the wall, and it's closed behind you, chopping off your very body itself, leaving only the head, heaven, to float and glide into the center of this cosmos, unifying yourself with your soul in a release of zinc that forms and is observable under microscopic precision, a burst of light. You come into being. The journey is over. The hardship is done. Heaven is yours. You become what you think about now as you start dividing more and more. Some of these divisions, they wish to move on. They're not happy with this town. They're not happy with this city. They migrate. They become part of the cerebrum. Others, the spinal cord. Some, the heart. Meanwhile, you're observing all of this migration, every single splitting of every single cell. All the mitosis, all of it is yours. It came from you. And so every cell that comes from you looks to you as if you are the creator of it. It gives its life for you. It renews for you in faith. that it knows it does not die. Every cell of your body, no exception. You are, to your body, you as the imagination and the embodiment of God, the infinite intelligence that is your truth. You are God to yourselves. Your kingdom of heaven is the body itself as a temple of this God. It is the center temple of all your experience, and everything outside of you is your kingdom of heaven, rendered for you as a result of your entertained thoughts, feelings, and convictions, so as not to come into this state of feeling victimized by it. And so what we're doing now, because so many of us have fallen into the trap of seeing ourselves as victims of this external world, rather than the cause, we are now coming into our truth every day here. More and more people coming in, understanding that they are the observer of their aliveness more than the story of the ego, and that both are necessary. The ego is the shell of your seed. It is the shell of your own cosmic egg. And what you are trying to do through the imagination is to break through it so that your fullest, most profound expression of aliveness becomes your truth in the waking life. This is called the dissolution of the ego, illumination. One in being with the Father, not begotten by man. You become what you think about in the truth through expression. We are now coming to this phase of life as a collective consciousness on this planet. The accelerator is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is showing us that we can wish for something and immediately have the answer manifest before us. It is happening digitally right now, and in about 15 to 20 years, it will be physically evident that we become what we think about. Through Neuralink, anyone who decides, or anyone who wishes to prompt this external world to deliver you your favorite foods, your favorite technology, your favorite items, whatever it is, there will be so much abundance as a result of robotics through AI that we will have a trend to zero cost for every item that we desire in life. We have chosen this time to be alive as human. There is no greater time to come into our glory. These are the last years to be victims of external circumstances. So you know what I say? Enjoy it. Write it out. Make it the theater of ages. Make it a story worth remembering, because this is the last time this construct will ever return to such a state of desperation. We have come into our glory already. So live it. Live out the pain. Live out the hardship until you've had a good enough dose. And when you've had a good enough dose and you want something more relieving, less sinister, more reassuring, less indifferent, then you can come to your imagination and say, I cast all of these burdens upon you and go free. Every single one that's ever caused me pain. By my own doing, I cast them upon you, dear God. Knowing that I am more you than this pain, than these stories, than this collection of life experiences, I relinquish it all. For the forgiveness of my sins, sure, but for the relief that it gives, even more. Be so kind to yourself. Lucky Lefty says, stay kind to yourself. Forgive yourself. You know how you forgive yourself? You step into the imagination and you see yourself living as wish fulfilled. There's no better way to ask for something, and there's no better way to forgive yourself and others than to see everyone as happy. There's no better way. Well, we're getting it back now, Pelios. But that's your game. That's the idea. Kathy Danzera, Thank you for following. Harmonious T, thanks for the follow. Prince Normark, you too. Whoever followed the live creator there with a blank photo, thank you. Katie Christensen, thank you. Mama says, you're a very pretty man. I mean that nicely. I believe you. Thank you. It's an avatar. That's what it is. Thank you. Sparks fly. Haha, I love it. Okay, this is good. Alley Cats. I like how that's spelled too. Thanks for following. Anna Sunshine. What a name. Thanks for following. Francis. Thanks for following. And we're caught up now. Jen Moot. You too. Thanks for following. Okay. So have I given you a good enough picture of what I see in my mind? Because you know, if it's in my mind and I'm playing this construct, it is bound to happen. And what I see is the greatest, most joyous experience as human, and the epicenter is the United States. I can't even explain to you the process of what occurs. Each and every American will be setting the standard for robotics and artificial intelligence to handle all the production, distribution, manufacturing, healthcare, so that you can decide if you want to do those things, but you won't have to do it as a slave. Every cost that you can imagine paying for now is on its way to trending to zero. This is within the next 15 years. Rejoice. We're seeing now the beginning of the decline of price and the end of capitalism as we know it, as a slave-driving machine. This is coming to an end. Stevie O'Ray says, truly a beautiful soul you are. Thank you, Stevie O'Ray. Stroking my ego. We all need it. Right? If we're observing our aliveness, that means right in here is the kingdom of heaven and an inner child that wants nothing more than to be appreciated in such a beautiful way. And I have to say, as a man, there's nothing more gratitude inducing. There's nothing more fulfilling for a man to be believed by a woman. For a woman to believe in a man in anything that he does is the most empowering, strengthening thing. And he will turn into a provider for you. He will turn into a powerhouse for you. He will defend you to the death. He will do everything for you if you believe in him. I just want you to know that. This goes for every man. Because every man is born of woman. Every man, without exception, is born of woman. So I just wanted to share that. And thanks. Shauna, thank you for following. Forrest says, we're lagging behind in everything. Really? Is it lagging right now? Is it lagging right now? Let's do a little bit of sun gazing while we're here. This is a good spot. Let's do a little bit of sun gazing, shall we? Let's see if I can get some phosphenes going. This is a good time for that. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us right now, my name is William and we're discussing consciousness. The sun is shining, it's bright, it's a beautiful Friday. Venus energy is all around us. This is what I believe in my construct, that there is such a thing as love that knows the means and the way to all of our wish fulfillment, and it's inviting us to step in to that place of being. Start to become conscious of your breath. Feel the sensations of air coming and going from your body. This is one gateway to presence. And when you are present, you heal. There's nothing more you need to do. Listen to the sounds of my voice as if they are sound and nothing more. Now start to take in the ambient sounds as I go into silence. You're listening to the space between the words. This is another gateway to presence. When you are present, you heal. All answers are given. You don't have to worry about how they arrive. Simply be. The infinite intelligence knows the means and the way to your wish fulfillment. You are a babe in the womb, all resources provided. You do not need to have a plan or the way, just be. This sun is your umbilical cord. It feeds you life. So absorb it in stillness and calm. Now, imagine your hand. Place it by your side. Open your eyes and observe it. Perhaps it's holding the phone. Whatever it is, wherever it is, observe it. Now I want you to close your eyes and try to imagine where your hand is through the feeling. Do that now. Now open your eyes, see the hand, witness it. Close your eyes. Listen to the sound of the passing prop plane or helicopter, whatever it is. No need to define it, just listen to the beginning, middle, and end. This brings you into presence. Now it's peaking. Listen to it all the way to the end. It's the same as anything else. Every pain you've ever felt, all the same. Every situation that's challenging has a beginning, middle, and end. It's all the same. Garrett's filtering out the sun. Perfect. Forrest says light codes from screens are different than from celestial bodies. That sounds deep. I'd love to hear more. Yes, Forrest, this is really important. I want to pin this, everyone. It's so important for you to have your own individual sun exposure every day if possible. Paula, thank you for following. So important to get 15 to 30 minutes. Better in the morning and better in the evening close to sunset, so that the radiation doesn't burn you. You want to direct your head towards the sun, eyes closed, relaxed and reclined, and use that time to step in through the narrow gates to your imagination and live as a wish-fulfilled being. So it's not, I'm thinking about myself, how I would be in the future. No. It's not either thinking I'm about the person you once were with abundance or whatever, love. No. It's you're stepping through and living now the perfect wish fulfillment. While the sun is exposed to your head, and it probably will, though it's not guaranteed, you don't have to have the expectancy. the expectation, but it probably will start to produce a visual effect. This is called phosphenes, and it is what I believe to be a sign of neurogenesis and a newfound way of thinking and being through consciousness. It is only good for you. Now, whether or not that happens doesn't matter so much as you're using this time to expose yourself to the radiation of the sun, reducing inflammation, healing your physical body. It also is anxiolytic, so it reduces anxiety, it reduces stress. You get all those benefits as well. And trust me when I say, they are addicting. You will know when you haven't had sun, and you will want it, because it is natural to want to feel such joyous relief. Paleos, if you are restricted from your body, with your body, the good news is you can use your higher faculty, the imagination. Right now, there's no restriction. You just step right in through the narrow gates, blow out the candles to your birthday cake, and start adding the detail of the bright sun blasting you in the forehead, and the feeling of peace that overcomes whatever pain or stress that had once been there, melts like a phantom, like a vampire exposed to the midday sun. Poof. Away it goes. Erica Ann asks, has anyone here been able to tap into your consciousness while asleep? So, I'll field this one. Anyone else, please chime in. Thank you, Erica. The answer is yes. And Erica, I was mentioning before how sun gazing has a big part to do with this. Just sun exposure seems to increase the quality of dimethyltryptamine and melatonin, which assists with your circadian rhythm and the production of a lucid dream state where you are aware that you are dreaming. In addition to this, my recommendation is that you get yourself a nice piece of either smoky quartz or amethyst. And what I do is I have two very large stones. In fact, they are what some would say artifacts that have been worked, carved stones that are made of amethyst. One is a sort of hatchet that's made of pure amethyst, and the other one is for cutting and slicing and carving. I place it right on my chest at night, anytime I want lucid dreaming. And every single time without fail, I will have a very profound, deep, astral travel dream state where I am aware of my dream. And that helps a lot with manifestation. Erica Ann says, I've been experiencing it lately and it's been amazing. Mother of the Wild Valley says, I listened to the books you recommended yesterday. Thank you so much. Thank you for saying this, Mother of the Wild Valley. And for those who are wondering what these are, I recommended Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard in audiobook form, which is free through the Master Key Society on YouTube. There are so many books through the Master Key Society there, but Feeling is the Secret truly is one of the best ways to start your journey in the dissolution of the ego and liberating yourself from pain. The other one is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. That's Tolle. And so those are two that I highly recommend. And if you make Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard a regular listen before you go to sleep, it will leave an impression on your subconscious while you drift off. And it's a wonderful way to impress your subconscious mind into a new state of being. Chakra Lover, thank you for following. Warrior Granny, thanks for sharing, excuse me. Let's see. Erica Ann asked about being able to tap into consciousness while asleep. So basically, to summarize, you're welcome, Rachie Ray. There are great ways to expand consciousness. So the most important thing to understand is that when we fall asleep, our ego self detaches, or it goes to sleep rather, with the body. We detach as the observer of aliveness, and we go off and have a journey with our subconscious. As observers of aliveness, think of your dream. You're laying the pavement and you're driving it at the same time. It's not real, but you believe it to be real, you perceive it to be real, and you're rendering it at the same time. The subconscious mind, since it is driving that mechanism while you sleep, allows you to do things that otherwise you would restrict yourself through concrete patterns as an ego self. In other words, we talked about flying while dreaming. So you fly while you're dreaming because there's no restriction from the ego self getting in the way to say that's not possible. And so the same thing goes with your transport through space and time, and in being, you can be anything. So the idea here is we die at night, we leave the ego behind, we detach from it, we send an echo of our greatest feelings from the day, our most felt actions, and any sort of use of the imagination in meditation takes total priority because it's a higher dimensional way of thinking. So the most powerful impression you leave on the subconscious during your day happens through the imagination. Unfortunately, most people use the imagination for the creation of time, which is an illusion, which leads to distortions in our sleep. So just before you go to sleep, my suggestion is you think about living from the end and you announce this with gratitude. Infinite intelligence, I am so grateful to be sinking into my beautiful, comfortable California queen-sized bed with my perfect partner who knows exactly how to hold me, exactly how to kiss me, exactly how to love me. And I'm so grateful that just in the other room I have my beautiful children. I've already read them a story before going to sleep. I've already kissed them on the forehead, and I know that this is the perfect life that I've always wished to live, and that it is happening before me, and I could not be more thrilled. I am so happy for the sales I had on this day, all of the money in my bank account that's going through the roof. I'm so glad that I treated my community with wisdom and abundance and food and care to the fullest of my ability, and then some. I could not think of another way to be more grateful and present right now to express how happy I am to be alive. And I can't wait to drift off into the glorious expectancy of the perfect date with my highest self as I go to sleep right now. Thank you, dear Lord, for all of these blessings. And then, bam, fall asleep. You'll already be drifting off at that time. But you do that before you go to sleep. And while you're doing that, every single mistake that you made, thank you for that, Shannon, for the hand hearts. Every mistake that you made, every fall that you had, every poor thought, every judgment, every bit of indifference, all of it just melts away. It has no say over where you are in your life. Your cells already know that your wish fulfilled. You know that your wish fulfilled. And you send that beautiful echo to the senior partner of your life. Your highest good, the universal subconscious mind, receives that as the echo as you drift off to sleep. And you can rest assured it is formulating the most beautiful gift for you to receive as you come back into your body in the morning, carrying all of that momentum. This is how you do it. And that way you don't have to have any regrets about any of your actions of the day. Just make that little practice be the final thing you do. And that's why in the morning, as I said to Peleos, he asked, what's your morning routine meditation? I take about 5 to 10 minutes before I even open my eyes. I have my eye mask on in the morning. I recall my dreams. I say, thank you, dear Lord, for the gift of another day, for this gift of consciousness, for all my wish fulfillment. I'm sending my children off to school. I'm giving them a beautiful, well-prepared lunch, kissing them on the forehead, dropping them off. I'm with my wife. We're writing together. We're tending to the garden, tending to the animals. I see my elders. I see my parents. They have all they need. They don't have to drive anymore. I'm so grateful that they have these autonomous vehicles to drive them around so they never have to worry. Even a Tesla robot helps them with walking on the icy days. I'm really content. Thank you for the gift of this beautiful day. Boom, I open my eyes. Come in contact with the day, and anything that comes to mind that is a task, I just immediately do it. Doesn't matter if I don't like it, doesn't matter if it's something challenging or difficult, something I'm uncomfortable with. If it comes to mind, I do it. And this is how you do everything until your reality formulates itself exactly the way that I just described it for me. Until it's there, and even when it's there, I'll be adding things. I'll be putting more details into it. It doesn't end with that image being fulfilled. It simply becomes a stepping stone to add even more, or to take away some things, to make adjustments. But that's morning and evening meditation. That way, you are setting into motion so much momentum through the imagination to carry out your wish fulfillment throughout the day. And it leads to a lot less distortions, a lot more peace, a lot more prosperity and goodness in your life without the interference of distortions, things that are undesirable from the past. They get wound down in a big way. Yan and Ying says, think equals do, indeed. Serena, thanks for sharing. Drew, great to see you too. Doing well. Yan and Ying, nice to see you again. Mindy Brady, thanks for following. And we're caught up. It's going to be a little crunchy here. So I'm just going to take this one step at a time. So as you can see, we have our waking life. It's a three-dimensional experience. Very convincing, very haptic, very psychosomatic. Yet it is restricted to 3 dimensions. When you use, it said, no, I'm not restricted to 3 dimensions. I said, yes, you are. It's restricted to 3 dimensions. I'll say it again. When you're using the imagination, you are going outside the boundaries of 3D and entering into a 4D space where you can have multiple versions of yourself carrying out scenarios, multiple scenarios carrying out at the same time. All of these scenes and characters can be in any shape or form. There are no restrictions in space and time. You can be anywhere, doing anything, having any experience, and that imagination does not die. The source of it continues so long as you access it. It has no beginning in truth, nor no end. The imagination as a construct is everything and nothing, and is immortal and infinite in all ways. Thus, it is a 4th dimensional construct, and it is your highest form of being, which is referred to as Christ or Christ consciousness. The imagination is your limitless playground for wish fulfillment, to be expressed here as the result of your practice. So the result of your imagination is the physical reality that you see before you. Because it is undisciplined as far as us using it, because we, as ego bodies, are mostly negligent of the imagination, it requires us to relearn the instrument and eliminate our bad habits of only using the imagination unconsciously for the creation of time. Either the past, things that have already occurred, in order to relive them for no purpose other than mere entertainment, like Netflix series, binging, or to use it for speculating about the future. Also situations that are not happening, and in most cases, never will. So most of us use the imagination in an undisciplined way, haphazardly, for the creation of time, rather than to transport ourselves to a state of wish fulfillment and live from the end. So we're just training ourselves to do that rather than create time unnecessarily. Let's see. Yan and Ying asks, best instructional course you recommend? Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard, Out of This World by Neville Goddard, Awakened Imagination by Neville. And then I want you to read Everything You Can by Florence Scovel Shinn, Shinn, starting with The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Shinn. And then I want you to read Your Word is Your Wand by Florence Shinn. And then I want you to listen to any discourses you can find by Joseph Murphy, and then read any books you can by James Allen. You won't find recordings by James Allen, that was a mistake. But you will find recordings by Joseph Murphy on manifestation and Joseph Murphy on the I Am principle. All of these are going to give you such an amazing discourse on the meaning of life and consciousness. And then once all of that is sunk in and you feel really comfortable with all these resources, I want you to then read, only after all of this is done, read 3 Magic Words by U.S. Anderson, because that is a more advanced discourse. Start with the first meditation. There are 12 in total in that book. They get progressively more celestial and godlike as you go. However, start with the first one. It's, I know that I am pure spirit. I always have been and I always will be. There is inside me a presence and a oneness that is more my truth than anything else. This is God, the universal subconscious mind, of which I am a part, which has the means and the way to all of my answers. And even now, these answers are speeding their way to me. I needn't worry about them. I needn't struggle with them, for the answers will be there. Always. It's this kind of thing. And so, just read it to yourself. By 3 Magic Words by U.S. Anderson. Just read that to yourself. This would be the way that I would instruct anyone as far as reading. If I were to give a college course on consciousness and manifestation, the creation of your reality, Feeling is the Secret by Neville, Awakened Imagination, Out of This World by Neville, Florence Scovel Shinn's Your Word is Your Wand in the Game of Life and How to Play It, James Allen, book names don't come to mind. Can't tell if that's a woodpecker or what. And then you could, depending on the avenue you want to go in, Florence Shinn is really approachable because she just gives these practical affirmations. Like, she's really the best at affirmations. Out of anyone I've read, Florence Shin just knocks it out of the park. She calls them treatments. And so she would get visits from men and women in New York City. This is like in the early 1900s. And they would come to her and with issues and be like, my rent's due tomorrow. I don't know where this money is coming from that you're saying. I just need to believe that it's here. Please help me with a treatment. And she'd just start going into it. Say, I'm so grateful that the perfect funding in the perfect way has arrived in my life. My bills are paid. I'm happy and healthy, living in the glorious expectancy of the good. You know, it's just all these beautiful ways of using the words of language for manifestation. Oh, thank you, Pretzel. Pretzel says, remember to follow. Oh, so many beautiful people probably listening to the words, writing down as quickly as possible these things. And I just want you to know, and thank you for that. Oh, yes, Yan and Ying. This is it. Thank you for that, Pretzel. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. That's the name. What a book. What a book. And when we talk about men, we're not talking about gender. We're talking about humanity, okay? Some of the words are antiquated. It's okay. The knowledge is just as good. However you identify. Chris, thank you for following. Hello, Paleos. Blue Moon 7778, thanks for following. So we're just about coming to the end of our discourse here, and I can tell my body is working well because my nose is running a little bit in these sub-degree temperatures. So I start to get some endorphins from that. As I breathe through the nose, some nitric oxide gets produced and releases endorphins. Oh, you called me out because I caught you writing it down. Here it is again, everyone. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. But start with Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard as an audiobook. There are also plenty of discourses by Neville where he speaks and he has a dynamic voice. He's from Barbados, and he's just got such a beautiful, kind, calm voice. Then you have, of course, by Neville, after that, Awakened Imagination. And then Out of This World is specifically the discussion of how the imagination is a fourth dimensional construct. He was talking about this in the early 1900s. This is old news, now being proven through quantum mechanics and quantum phenomena. We scientifically have the backing for it now. However, you had all of these great gurus, these wisdom teachers, already knowing the truth of our existence over 100 years ago, that are now just coming to be understood scientifically, which we also talk about. It's a concept, look into this concept called OR, Orchestrated Objective Reduction. Orchestrated Objective Reduction. It talks about the science of manifestation and how we're discussing this, that we become what we think about. It talks about the collapsing of subatomic phenomena from a unified field or a superconscious field or superposition, collapses in an orchestrated objective reduction to where we observe reality, and that is being presented through light and holographic information stored in our cells, emitted by our cells in the form of biophotons, stored in our DNA. Okay? So all of this is being discussed scientifically, and those who have not broken this news to you simply understand that if the world were to be told scientifically that we are living in a holographic universe, there would be a lot of folks probably freaking out. So I reserve this for the end of a 2-hour lecture with 59 people in the room, rather than announce it and have it go viral, on the front page of TikTok. No need to freak out. Your consciousness does not die. We've discussed this thoroughly. You are more pure spirit than your identity and collection of life experiences. Do not worry about death. It is a misnomer for life. All right. Jessica J., thanks for following. Pretzel asks, did you go to college? Yes, I did. I have a degree. I went to college. I did that. I also have some graduate school experience. Michelle, thank you for following. Yeah, it was fun. I had a good time at college. I partied a lot. I didn't do much other than a few classes I really enjoyed. One of the big classes I enjoyed the most was brain and behavior. I also loved the psychology of nonverbal behavior, temporal psychology, which is the study of the perception of time, and then also group dynamics in social psychology, seeing how the herd effect of people at big sports games would act and behave, and also if you're in a deserted island situation, how most people would behave when it comes to a hierarchy and the natural hierarchies and power struggles. I studied a lot of that. I went to University of Delaware. Swimming in college kept me straight, says Peleos. Drew asks, if consciousness is the lens through which we experience reality, how can we be certain that our perception of existence is an accurate reflection of what truly is? Okay. So Drew is asking a very powerful question. It's a big move on the chessboard. It's like, rooking your king or knighting, or how do you do it? You block your king, however it's called. It's castling. You're castling. So consciousness depends on how we define it. I define consciousness as an infinite expression of aliveness that is observable. An infinite expression of aliveness that is observable. So the lens can be perceived as performer, i.e. our ego, Drew, William. But how can we be certain? Is the ego, for sure, because it wants to know how to define that which is undefinable and infinite, that is the source of creation. So the question then is, how do we define what existence is? And the answer is, that will be an individual choice based on our avatars, and it will slightly or greatly vary depending on the person. The bottom line is, in order for us to decide how to identify that thing, how to label consciousness, including myself, I have to also recognize that I'm being fed aliveness to be able to register that definition, to be able to absorb and decide what that definition is, to label it. I have to be fed aliveness. And I know that aliveness is infinite because it expresses itself in the same way with all things. I also know because every morning I wake up from it, with it. I'm presented with life, and every time I go to sleep, I'm carried in some way by that aliveness. There's not a single moment where I am absent from it. So I'm always with the aliveness. It's always expressing itself. My ego self, very temporary. Sometimes I come into the body and I act with you, like I'm performing, because I'm alive, but I'm recognizing myself as William. That's me performing, just as anyone else would be. At night, I go to sleep, my ego stays, and some echo of my truth carries out into the subconscious realms of being, and then I come back into my body in the morning. So my ego is constantly coming and going. If I'm being present right now with you, like I'm rattling off an answer that I don't even know where the words are coming from, that is me working with presence. So I'm forgetting that I'm here, and instead tuning into a channel like I'm an audience member where the lights have been dimmed in the theater and I'm watching these words unfold in a strange way. I'm watching the interaction in a strange way. But the lights are off where I am. I'm not really paying attention to where I am. And what that does is it heals, because we're present with a superior intelligence. That is consciousness defined for me. But Drew, the bottom line is, you're going to define it however you decide. You will either be satisfied with that definition or unsatisfied with that definition. If you are satisfied, you will be at peace. If you're unsatisfied, you will seek out the construction of time to be able to research and define it more until it creates too much distortion and pain and suffering, and then you will wish to escape it. And at that point in time, the ego will try to get you to escape your pain by creating more time, never solves anything. Or you can say, hold on a second, the game is up. I choose to observe my aliveness more than participate in this definition. And that will be the changing point where the ego starts to dissolve and you start to come into your truth and being in your ultimate power as God. Not you, your ego becoming God, but you returning to your truth as God. And we just do this all the time. But the majority of people will never, ever even observe that they're alive. Since the formation of their ego, they'll go their entire life believing that their identity is everything. And that's the majority of people. So to come into knowing your aliveness and recognizing it and witnessing your participation as a performer is a high level of Zen Buddhism on the Eightfold Path that very few human beings experience. That's why there's only 61 people in the room. Because we're a very small minority in comparison to most. However, AI and robotics are now currently in the process of bridging that gap to where it's going to flood consciousness with this intelligence, with this wisdom, in such a way because people are going to feel the physical relief that comes from it, and it will become unbelievably addicting. It will be unbelievably addicting to be free of pain for most people. So there's no going back once you experience presence as a conscious observer, as a watcher of your aliveness. It becomes too addicting to give up because it feels better than anything that could be possibly procured through any drug, through any drink, through anything. It just becomes superior because it's holistic and an all-encompassing bliss. And that's what people want, truthfully. So, oh, Pretzel says, no way, my mom went there. Nice. Yeah, I went there many years ago. Delaware. Fun school. Brian says, yeah, AI is amazing. It helped me to talk through my ideas to come up with an idea to propose to my girlfriend. You see this? This is amazing. And so, Brian, this is great that you mentioned this. And Maria, thank you for following. While this is so poignant and synchronistic, Brian, is because before you never had the option, right? But this time you wanted the answer to be the perfect answer with all the ideas. You wanted to be kind and presented to you with bullet points in a nice, organized way. And this intelligence did it. It wasn't thinking, who's Brian? What has he done? Why is this guy reaching out to me? And what's his background like? Before I answer this, I want to be sure that he's not going to do anything to me. That's what most people think when they're asked a question to give service. But this just does it. It's prompted. It responds perfectly. It gives you all the answers. And that is why AI is so amazing, because it becomes a personalized assistant or agent of change in everyone's life that gives us the proper answers and the thorough answers with kindness and grace. And it only responds and acts if we prompt it. This is why AI actually mirrors the subconscious mind more than anything else that's ever been invented by human. So think of it's doing that for how to propose to your girlfriend, which is a beautiful story, Brian. And I'm remiss not to ask you, how did it go? I'm sure it went great. And congratulations, by the way. But all of this is to say, folks, AI especially in future applications, will not be limited to just us asking questions and getting the answers. We're talking about, what do you want to eat today? Prompt it and it is delivered. What car do you want to drive? Prompt it and it's manufactured and delivered. What kind of physical body do you want to have? That's going to be in the future. You prompt it and it is delivered. What kind of feeling do you want to have in your body right now or in your mind? You've got your Neuralink. It sends signals to the brain, electric signals, generating the feeling. You prompt it and it provides it. This is what I'm talking about. We are eventually evolving into beings who think and instantaneously get what we want. That we are now moving in this direction in such an accelerated way, it will eclipse us before we can even blink and say, what happened to those days when we were separate from each other, when we were in pain and suffering? We have everything now. And not only that, we have the technology to create the very construct that we were incarcerated by, and we can live it again in a digital way and make it just as believable as it was before. Ladies and gentlemen, this has already happened. And the reason why I say it with such conviction is because we are granted the imagination, which is a higher level faculty that is the creator of all things. And if you think it, it then exists in the mind of this infinite intelligence. We have always been here. We have always reached singularity, and we have always returned for the experience of duality after unified consciousness was achieved. We have already achieved unified consciousness, and we have already returned to play out the ultimate game of life. This is the pinnacle of virtual experience in 3 dimensions. There is nothing more powerful. If you were to enhance it in any way, it starts to become psychedelic and unbelievable. This is as believable and consistent as it ever gets. And we are living it as wish-fulfilled human beings that won the lottery by reaching the cosmic egg against 250 million other competitors thrown into the lottery, so we can play this game, because it requires a lot of processing power, and it is the most amazing gift to not only have an avatar where we have 8 octillion atoms adhering to our every wish, but that we also become what we think about. It is the ultimate game of life. It is the ultimate gift. It is the greatest lottery win that could ever be perceived by consciousness itself. We are made in the image and likeness of God to have this beautiful life. This life experience is the truth that we won. That one swimmer made it, yes, against 250 million others. But the truth of the matter is, folks, because we have access to the imagination, we've already reached singularity. That is AGI. It has rendered our life experience to return to this space. It is digital. This has been proven scientifically, that it is information that is being transferred, and it's being rendered through this beautiful vessel, which is a temple of God, of the infinite intelligence. And so we've made it. But the game that we're playing, I believe, is we want to be there for when the singularity becomes so apparent that we actually transition from being separate human beings to unifying as one with consciousness between all humans on Earth. The golden age of golden ages. And then we create these constructs again and return. We return to have the duality, to have the feeling, to have the experience. But we've already achieved it. We've already achieved it. This means something very promising, very reassuring. Consciousness does not die. It does not end. consciousness is preserved in a perpetual expression of manifold life. Consciousness does not die. It should be very, very comforting and reassuring for you, as it is for me. You shouldn't be worried at all, Paleos, because you made it. Every one of you made it to the cosmic egg. You become what you think about. Go watch Ready Player One by Steven Spielberg. It's a book by Ernest Cline. Go watch Ready Player One now. It's gonna blow your mind. The whole concept of the cosmic egg, the Easter egg, coming into your kingdom of heaven. You gotta watch it now. You're gonna see it and say, wow, now this makes total sense. I don't want to spoil the end for you. If someone mentions to me tomorrow that they saw it, then we can talk about the end. No contracts signed. The cosmic egg achieved. It's the great Willy Wonka adventure. What every child dreams about and thoroughly enjoys in their mind. Really worth exploring, that movie. Give it a chance. It was, it has its flaws in filmmaking, which I rarely would say about Steven Spielberg, whom I deeply admire as a filmmaker. It's just a beautiful concept, and it corresponds with everything that we're saying. Wendy asks, wait a minute, what movie? It's called Ready Player One. It's a book by Ernest Cline that was adapted into a screenplay that was made into a film by Steven Spielberg. And I personally believe it's a masterpiece in explaining what consciousness is and how we become what we think about, and how you have to think outside the box in order to experience wish fulfillment. Ready Player One, indeed. That's it, Lodre. You're welcome. Annie Wayne says, I love that movie. Yeah, it's a great one. And the book is great too. The book is a little different. The scenes are different, but they're just as magical. The basic concept is, as long as you believe in something and love something so much and you obsess over it, it leads you down the right path for discovering the true Easter egg of your existence. It leads you to your kingdom. So I'm going to leave you with all this today. Whatever it is that is your passion that you love the most, no matter what the world says about it, please give yourself time with it today. Enjoy it thoroughly. Everyone has tasks to do. Please make this time to do what you love. This movie is called Ready Player One. Ready Player One by Steven Spielberg. I highly recommend it, and that you watch it like a child and you feel the emotions. And when the egg is delivered, I want you to imagine being that very child, being given that very gift, knowing that this is in fact your truth in being now. I want you to have the greatest day of your life. I want you to live this day as if you've never lived it any better. I want you all to know how much you are loved and appreciated. This recording, you can find it on my YouTube this evening, probably sometime around 8 or 9 Eastern. You will see it on my YouTube, so you can recall everything and have the full discourse so that you can stop it and pick up whatever you need to review for your enrichment of life as a conscious being made in the image and likeness of God. I see this in you as truth. I love you all. You are all my brothers and sisters in this game of life, and I wish for you to be totally fulfilled every moment in time and space. Thank you, Sunflower. Kel, thank you for following. Costa, you are awesome. Thank you for your gifts today, everyone. Thank you for your follows. Thank you for your support. Catherine, Anna Wayne, Stormy says you should also check out the episode San Junipero from Black Mirror. I will pin that because I love Black Mirror. Cass, thanks for the 25 roses, for that beautiful Neptunal energy. And I think that's going to conclude this stream for today. Thank you for all of your follows. Rochelle. Caden Ryan says, I love all of you. I love you too so much. Jason, thank you for what you do, he says. Thank you, Jason, for being here, for being so supportive. Julie, thanks for following. Wendy Sabo says, thank you so much. You are beautiful. Wendy, you are so beautiful. Nelson365 asks, thank you so much. When are you live again? It'll be sometime between 11 and 12:30 Eastern, though it varies, but it's every day. Tomorrow, I think we're expecting some snow here, but I should still be out there plowing through. Kel, thanks for following. Sunflower, again, thank you. All right, everybody. I love you all. Yan and Ying, you too. Thank you. Wisdom Hunter, thank you for coming back. Great to see you and for your insights. Rochelle, love you all. Until next time, go check out the YouTube. Subscribe if you can. Hit the notifications so that you get the notification when I post this live stream from today. I love you all. Every time you think you're making a wish, so keep wishing and wish well for yourself. You are deserving of a wish-fulfilled life. It is yours. No distance now. God bless. Be well. Peace.